Hi, my name is Chris Riding. I'm a natural food chef hailing from the great Midwest. Today we're going to make a Chipotle corn chowder. The first step to putting together a chowder is to start with your mirepoix. So I'm going to peel an onion, chop it into large pieces. Basically, many soups start with a classic mirepoix. That's a mix of onions, carrots, and celery. They get sweated together in a pan, and then we're going to add a roux to it later as we make a chowder. The easiest way to slice an onion is to cut it in half, remove the outer skin, and just take your knife and cut straight down about an inch apart. So we're using a classic mirepoix as the base of this recipe. That's 1 part onions, half part celery, half part carrots. I'm going to trim the tops off the carrots. I'm going to dice them small because they have to end up on a spoon at some point. Next, I'm going to grab a couple ribs of celery and chop about the same amount of celery as I have carrots. This recipe also calls for a little garlic. Just going to crack the garlic bulb, peel off the skin, and mince it up. So we have our classic mirepoix ready to go. Today I'm going to add a poblano pepper to that. Cut the shapes appropriately. You want to use bigger chunks for things that are softer and smaller chunks for things that are harder and firmer. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the burner, warm the pot up slowly. I don't want this to cook too fast because if the onion's brown, it's going to make a strange color in the soup. I'm going to chop the butter into some smaller pieces so they melt a little more evenly. Let that butter melt before I add the vegetables and get started on my mushrooms while that's taking place. Take off the woody stems. This is a chowder. I'm going to leave these pieces fairly large, so I'm just going to go ahead and quarter the mushrooms today. These will go in towards the end because they're a lot more porous and they're going to cook a lot faster. Check my butter. Onions first. Turn the heat up a little bit. Okay, we got the onions sauteing. I can hear them starting to sizzle, so I'm going to go ahead and add the celery and the carrots and the poblano peppers. Okay, my mirepoix has been cooking over medium heat for about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic now. I didn't want to add that too early or else it would brown. Give that a good stir. Another good stir. Everything gets coated with butter. Now while this cooks, I'm going to add the flour to make the roux. Roux is essentially a mixture of fat and flour, usually butter, and we blend them in equal amounts, whisk them together, and it works as a thickening agent in soup. Once I get all that flour mixed in, I'm going to go ahead and add my stock. You want to be careful not to burn the flour on the bottom of the pot. Now we're just going to cook it over medium heat, bring it up to a nice simmer. While that cooks, I'm going to prepare my potatoes. I'm going to cut these into about 1/2-inch cubes so they cook nice and fast. You can see the roux has started to thicken up nicely. I'm going to go ahead and add all the potatoes. And we're going to let those cook for another 7 to 10 minutes on a simmer. We're using fresh corn in our recipe today. We've gone ahead and roasted some ahead of time, 400 degrees for 40 minutes. Just going to go ahead and break the ear out of it. And now I'll just go ahead and trim the kernels right off the cob. Just cut the cob in half, take my knife, right down the side. You want to take your knife and run it along the edge of the kernels, not too far. If it feels like it's digging into the cob, you want to pull back just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add the corn. That doesn't need to cook very long since it's been roasted in the oven. We're using fresh herbs as well, so I'm going to put those in now. I'm I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of our spices. A tablespoon of chipotle pepper. Just a pinch of cayenne. Some ground cumin. Ground black pepper. And salt. I'm going to add my cream here at the end and let it go for another 5 minutes. Okay, we've had the soup simmering for about 5 minutes now. I brought it up to a boil first, then turned it down to a rolling simmer. You want to be careful not to boil it too long or the soup will break. That's where you'll see the fats and the butter start to separate from the soup and cause an oily film across the surface. You can see how nice and thick this soup is. We're going to go ahead and garnish it. I've got some fresh kernels of corn here that we saved from earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and use a little pico de gallo. And then we're going to go ahead and finish this with a little bit of cotija cheese. And there you have it, our Chipotle corn chowder. I'm Chris Riding for Co+op Stronger Together.